Hello, welcome to Ghost Pepper Lollipop, where the takes are spicy, the host is sweet, and we engage that multiple things can be true at the same time, and often are. So, we are going to have a reaction day to basic ass misogynist stuff because y'all are always out here running around, pulling your pants down, going, woohoo, look at me, I'm misogynist, and then asking, well, how was that misogynist? What do you mean that was misogynist? Explain it to me, like I'm four. And then you'll proceed to do the mansplaining thing to try to tell me how it's not. But I've decided, you know what, we'll just keep showing you your own ass and see, if you figure it out. Yes, I'll put the mirror in front of your face and force you to look at it. Sound fun? Sounds fun for me. I also have some fun stuff. So, I have some really fun stuff. I'm actually going to start with one of the funnest ones just because it's so fun for me. And I'm hoping that it gets us all hyped and energized for the fun. Let's go. Let's go. Let's have some fun. Let's have some fun together. Hope you're ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. Let's go.
I don't think that's what it is. What you said. Your memory is just bad. No, I never said that. You're making that up. Yeah, it is. I took notes during our conversation and texted them to you. You took notes? That's actually insane. Like, that's literally what crazy people act like. That's not a nice word. Do you really think I'd make that up? Yes. Okay, well, I'm sorry that you think that I hurt you.
That's not an apology, silly. And even if it were one, it wouldn't be true.
Okay, you're being way too sensitive right now. No, I'm not. You're the one getting worked up. Okay, you know what? If I'm so terrible, why don't you just leave me? Honestly, not a bad idea. Oh, okay, so you just want to leave me now? If you leave me, I am going to hurt myself. Oh, that's like not normal. You should definitely speak to a professional about that. Good luck.
Oh, that's so real. I love it so much. Oh my gravy. If any of y'all come from like a very gaslighty, abusive household like I do, that was absolutely hilarious. Also, well done. Well done countering every one of those gaslighty phrases. And y'all, men that show up in my comment sections, I hate to inform you of this. I don't know. Maybe I like to inform you of this. I don't know. It's kind of fun for me to tell you this right now. Y'all are like the first guy. Y'all are like the level 78 gaslighters and baby cakes. I come from a level 574 home. So good luck. Shit asses. Actually, I'm gonna show y'all an example. I haven't done this yet. I'm gonna make an example out of one of you. Let's go. Let's go. This is gonna be fun. This is gonna be so fun. For me. Probably not for y'all. But for me, well, okay, no, some of y'all will have fun with this too. Some of y'all are gonna have fun with this. I am definitely gonna have fun with this. Some of y'all are gonna have fun with this. Let's go. Let's do this. I have an idea. Be prepared. Whoever left this comment, this might sting. But if you're wise, you have burn cream in the bathroom. If you're not wise and you don't have any burn cream in the bathroom, just run your hand or the burned part underwater for like 10 minutes. It keeps the underlayers from continuing to burn. Okay, little boys and little men, this might sting. And since I'm showing you your own asses that you continue to be insistent upon throwing out in the world all naked and exposed, I know you think we should just powder it and move forward. We're not going to, though. You need to see why it's harmful. And so I'm going to show you your own ass in the mirror. Remember, wash that thing because damn, it is stank, my friend. It is stank. Like, it doesn't just stink. It's worse than that. Like, y'all got colonizer ass. Look at its thing. Now, this is going to sting because Sarpog engages in like the most basic ass misogyny, but he immediately goes to the orange part of the rape culture pyramid, which I want y'all to understand is immediate red flag. So any ladies in the audience, I need you to listen to the way that this abusive ass speaks so that you can understand that these red flags are things that we need to all avoid. And Sarp Hog, the hoggiest hog, needs to be facing some natural consequences for his pure assholery. So let's go. Let's show Sarpog why we just don't want to be in the room with his assholing ass, and we're not really afraid of him or anything. So Sarpog is confirming his own biases, and he feels very, very strongly that his way is correct. Sarpog doesn't actually understand how patterns work or history works, so it's going to bite him very, very hard in the ass when he realizes he's actually part of the very loud minority and not the majority. But that's just fun for the people in his life later. I mean, and hopefully he opens his mouth and shows his ass again in the future after it's been bit. It's gonna be so fun for me. I love it. Please, Sarpog, come back once your ass has been bit, because I need the giggles. Every giggle I can get in life is a W that I'm gonna take. So let's go. So Sarpog admits to getting annoyed. Now Sarpog, the hoggiest hog, has decided to try to downplay his annoyance. Now, the fact that he led with that he's annoyed, that he started to be annoyed, means that he was annoyed. It means that it stung more than he wanted it to. Now, the next thing he says tells you he's a true abuser, that as soon as he saw that mirror, he just doubled down and started wiping mud on his ass because he couldn't handle the shit. And so he thought the mud might cover up the shit smell. What he doesn't understand is you can mud cover or candy cover a shit, and it's still a shit. So the next thing this little hoggy hog says is, but then I realized how irrelevant people like you have become and that you're about to be lost to history. Now, see, when things are dying, especially like misogyny, patriarchy, capitalism, things like that have a lot of power, they become very violent and they lash out. Now, the death throes can be quite dangerous and very expressive. And that is what Sarpog is engaging in here, is a very expressive death throw of his ideology. Now, he is still trying to convince himself that his ideology is valid. And that's why he saw the need to try to tell me how valid it is. Tiny, insignificant blip that will very soon be looked back on in shame. Well, Sarpy, that room that you just gave me in your head, I'm painting it rainbow glitter. And we'll see who's lost to history. You living life being disliked by most people brings me joy. Oh my God, see, and then you show that you're really an abuser. Like, you just masked off where, like, I like to watch people be hurt. It was fun for me. Like, I don't know. How do y'all think that this makes you earn respect or anything? This is why we don't want to be in the room with your asses. This is why we choose the bear. Because you are very blatantly an admitted abuser, and somebody needs to check your, like, search history and photo history and everything, because I imagine you're probably quite grapey. I mean, I am getting very grapey vibes off of you. So let's continue, because I like to respond personally to my comments. I love it when y'all leave comments. Leave comments. It's amazing. I do try to respond to them. For now. We'll see if that ever needs to change. But for now, I like responding to your comments. So my response back is, you projecting your self-hatred in such a clear, precise picture does the same for me. It gives me joy to see you project your own bullshit and realize it's about you and not me. Have the day you deserve. Now, this is because I don't need you to validate me. You need to be validated. And that is a little hilarious to me, that you're projecting how you feel about yourself on me to try to validate yourself. And all you're doing is validating misery and icky, and that's why you're not getting actual joy out of it. Now, me knowing that that's what you're doing and that it's not actually about me, that it's about you, does give me joy, because I take joy in myself and the work that I have done to make sure that your invalidating bullshit can never actually break the surface that is me. And you should strive for that superpower too, because it's quite magnificent to be able to laugh in your face while you sit there and writhe in misery. It is what it is, Boo Bear. It is what it is. I've done the work. You refuse to. This is the result. I'm showing you so that you can see it. If you can see it, you may start wanting to be honest enough with yourself to work through it. We'll see. I mean, you may just like your misery, Boo Bear. And if you do, I mean, do you, I guess. So Sarpog, the hoggiest hog, just doesn't understand what I'm talking about, like how he's projecting. Now, Sarpy, I hope you watch this video so that I broke down your statements very clearly as to why I believe that, or what I believe you're saying. And I do believe that you're projecting how you feel about yourself. That's what it means when I say you're projecting. It means that this is how you feel about the inner you, and you're trying to put that picture on me. But see, I don't wear that outfit. It doesn't look right on me. And so, you know, I didn't put it on. And your particular type of abuse requires me to internalize what you said. And because I don't, you lose. Go suck an elf. Go suck an elf. My worldview is spreading through the entire world. Fragile ass men are screaming and whining very loudly. You're right. Fragile ass men the world over are whining very loud because equity feels like oppression to you, because you're sad, weak little weenies. That's true. No, I'll give you that one, Boo Bear. If anything, I feel entirely vindicated. That people are waking up and have started agreeing with me en masse. You like to see other men run around with your pants down naked, shaking your asses at each other. That's what that says. I mean, if you want to look at other men's naked asses, I'm not going to shame you for that. I think you should just go enjoy. Be you, Boo Bear. Have fun with that. I don't particularly want to see your asses, and neither do the rest of us women. So if y'all could keep that to your own private spaces, that would be amazing. You know, nobody wants to see your ass, especially while it's covered in shit and mud. Now, maybe if you wash it, you know, you do a little cleanup. Maybe, probably not. Probably not. So anyway, chat, the rest of you, beautiful people, this is a clear example of the rape culture pyramid. Now, Hog, the hoggiest hog of them all, has really, really deep, violent, internalized misogyny and rape culture. And so he went all the way directly to removal of autonomy. That's this should tell anybody that knows the hog or is adjacent to the hog to be very careful to be when you're in the same room or vicinity with him, particularly alone. Now, you will almost always be assaulted by somebody you know. It's almost always not a stranger. And Sarpog has very clearly said that he's an abuser and he enjoys hurting people. So anybody that is in the hog's vicinity, in the family, in the friend group, in the community, please do be very, very, very careful when you're anywhere near the hoggiest hog of them all, because he will hurt you. He actually takes pride in it because he's so weak and so small, and he hates himself so much that the only way he can feel better is if he hurts other people. And that's just speaking to how hurt he is and how abusive he is to himself. Now, that doesn't help. I mean, giving him his humanity allows us to, you know, not dehumanize him in the way that he's trying to dehumanize us. But you also have to be very honest with who he is, because he will hurt somebody. He will probably hurt his partner. He probably does. And I am fairly certain that he's rapey, just based on his own words and where he falls on the rape pyramid. So anyone in the hog's presence, please do be careful. He is a dangerous person, and he's told you so himself, just with these words. So there is an example of somebody right here in my own comments. You see, the misogyny is everywhere. All I have to do is blink my eyes and it will be in front of me, because y'all really do love to be that basic and ridiculous. Let's go for another one. Let's see, what else do I have in my little mystery misogyny menagerie. Let's go. Let's see what else is on the list today.
Aggrieved entitlement is what happens when someone believes that they are owed power, status, or access, and gets angry when the world doesn't deliver on it. It's not just disappointment, it's rage, born from the belief that you've been cheated of something. You've been denied something that was rightfully yours. For men in particular, this often shows up as violent backlash when they feel rejected, ignored, or challenged, especially by women. And it's no coincidence. Patriarchy teaches men that they're entitled to sex, attention, dominance, and control. So when that expectation is not met, the response isn't self-reflection, it's punishment. Aggrieved entitlement is the fuel behind everything from workplace harassment to mass shootings. It's not about individual failure. It's about a system that promised them power and a culture that tells them to take it back by force. It happens when people with power and privilege see improvements in equality for others and inclusiveness as a loss of status, and thus a personal attack. Men are struggling to cope with the loss of the unearned privileges that they have always enjoyed.
That's real as hell. And that's a hard thing for men to cope with, like understanding that that's what their problem is. Y'all think you're entitled to something you're not entitled to, and now that we're like, no, you're not fucking entitled to that and you don't get to have it, you're lashing out. And just like the guy in my comment, it's like the rest of the world is seeing it my way. Y'all are sitting here confirming your biases. Just because you come from a very loud, violent, gross minority does not mean you're the majority. It does not mean that the rest of the world is seeing what you're saying, and it does not mean that you're in any way good. And the fact that y'all can somehow convince yourselves that you're good people is really heinous and disgusting. And that's one of the things that y'all really need to work on, because the rest of us don't see you as good people. And when you start mouthing off and stuff, we aren't like obeying you or respecting you. And if you think that obeisance is respect, you have words confused and you need to go back to a grammar class or a vocabulary class. Yeah, go to a vocabulary class, get you a dictionary, maybe a thesaurus, maybe pick 2 or 3 words a day to look at. And then when you're looking at those words, look at their synonyms and their antonyms. Yeah, Google those words too. You may need the definitions, because y'all have proven that you aren't that bright, and you're definitely incredibly intellectually lazy and you're also spiritually lazy. Yep, you are. Because if you weren't, you would stop believing in the hogwash and bullshit and unpack the stuff you need to unpack so that you can actually heal and help us to heal and stop perpetuating the harm, because you're perpetuating harm upon yourselves and not just others. But you're able to convince yourselves that you're entitled to these things that are still harming you, and you're able to convince yourselves that that's not harm. You want that really gross thing. Control is not power. I'm gonna repeat. Control is not power. Having control over others isn't power. It may feel powerful, but it's just your inner weakness and your inability to validate you and your self-abuse habits playing forward into the world onto other people. You abuse you, so you abuse others. You are miserable, so you spread misery. Like I've discussed many times before, the things you stuff down and refuse to address become behaviors. So all of those times you stuffed down your emotions and stuffed all of that stuff down, you allowed it to come out in a gross behavior. And rather than do the hard work, the thing a strong person does, rather than do the hard work that a strong person does, you sit there and get violent and rant and rail and scream and say stupid shit like Sarpok said, because you're weak little weenies and you're too afraid to do the hard thing, and you think being brave is being tough and pounding your chest. And that isn't brave at all, Boo Bear. Brave is seeing that scary, terrifying, hard thing and doing it anyway. Sit with that one for a minute. Well, I go get us another example of really basic ass gross misogyny because y'all can't help yourselves. I don't know why. I mean, if you're mad that I have so much content to choose from, do better, act better, and quit pulling your pants down in public. I don't know what to tell you. You act a fool, I'll go make example of the foolery.
Yeah.
I want us to try our best to get the surprise out of that and feel like, yeah, good, you're doing what you should be doing. Keep, the couple other thoughts, if I might. One is that I notice all kinds of times people trying to address male violence while trying to avoid any discussion of male domination. And I think they end up doing harm for exactly the reason that you've pointed out, that you're actually missing so much the key dynamic. And then one other sort of snippet that I like to give, which is that when people hear about domestic abuse, they right away start focusing on the man's anger and say, oh, he's got anger issues. He's got problems with his anger. And one of my catchphrases about that is, no, he doesn't have a problem with his anger. He has a problem with her anger. He believes she doesn't have the right to be angry. And he believes she does not have the right to stand up for herself. And that's why he hurts her.
It's so true. And that's what we were talking about before with the other people. The fact that men have a hard time with the fact that they have been told so often that they're entitled to do this, that they're entitled to be obeyed, that to earn respect is to be obeyed, and to have respect and be strong, they have to control and dominate. And so they don't feel like we're people entitled to emotions and etc. But they also strangely don't give themselves entitlement to all emotions. So while they're suppressing themselves, they're suppressing everybody else because they're terrified of what actually having equity looks like. They are so afraid of looking in the mirror and healing those wounds and trying to find equity. They cannot imagine what an actual, real, healthy relationship is like, and it terrifies them because many of them have never seen one modeled. And they've always been told that they would be entitled to hurt and harm. And so many of them have the mindset that in order to be happy, they have to spread misery. That in order to be happy, they have to hurt somebody else. And that is the cycle that you keep perpetuating when you play around with things on the rape culture pyramid or the abuse culture pyramid, because we are going to apply all abuse to it, because all abuse does apply. If you are willing to degrade a person in any way, you are willing to do worse abuses. That is the first step to manufacturing consent within yourself to do harm. I'm just telling you what it is. I didn't make it up. I didn't cause it to be a thing. I'm just telling you so that you start recognizing it and stop perpetuating those damaging ass behaviors. They hurt you too. Look in the mirror long enough to see that the mud is not all the way covering the shit, Boo Bear. You may think it was, but it's not. The shit is running and it's creeping out and it's stinky. Clean it up. Abusive men are the weeniest, weakest of you all. Y'all think you're tough and you think you're valid, you think you're respected, you're not. You're hated, you're despised, you're weak little weenies that can't manage the big bad feelings, and so you lash out at others. You're weak, you're small, and you're pathetic, and you will continue to be weak, small, and pathetic unless and until you decide to heal yourself and fix that gaping wound and stop putting bandages over a hemorrhage. Your feelings are real, and sometimes they're big, and sometimes they're loud, and sometimes they suck. Learn a better way to manage them that is not harmful to yourself and others. I mean, or land yourselves alone and miserable like you seem to enjoy being. I mean, I guess I don't get to have a say. I really hope that y'all will wake the crap up and listen at some point. Goodness gravy, y'all really, really are trying to turn me into a full-on misandrist over here. Y'all actually want me to hate you. Like, the behavior that y'all project, it really feels like y'all are out here being like, no, we want to be hated. We want to be. If you're going to say that we have to be equal, then we're just going to take oppression on and wear it. Meh. You could not handle the lives you project on us, darling. You would collapse. Absolutely collapse because you weak little weenies. I said what I said. I said what I said. Get over it. Go get happy in the same pants you got mad in, boo. Go get happy in the same pants you got mad in.
Yesterday about when, let's say, in a heterosexual relationship, the man gets angry at the woman or aggresses on her for her emotions. He is trying to regulate her emotions to control himself, as opposed to understanding that he has to learn how to manage his own emotions. In other words, he accuses her of being his trigger. And so or is that just another excuse?
I think that the heavier dynamic is
Yeah.
much more really deep beliefs he's absorbed over his lifetime from a young age about what kind of service females owe him and what sort of enforcement he has the right to use when that service is not being provided to him adequately. So his sort of emotional world, his insecurities, I find playing actually a very small role and sometimes really no role at all. And it turns out to have much more to do with his entitlements, his sense of what you must do for me.
So, many of y'all probably didn't read the bottom of the screen or know this, so I'm going to tell you. The man speaking in this video is Dr. Lundy Bancroft. I think he's a doctor. Either way, he is a therapist and he works with abuser men, and he also works with women because it is better to have I forget what the word is, but care that goes alongside. So you have to check in with the woman to know if the man's lying to you, sort of thing, is kind of the mindset in DV care. He works with abusive men, and so this is what he specializes in, and he's done it for years. And one of the ways that he manages to not allow men to get in with their narrative because they lie and turn it around on the women, especially abusive men, is to listen to the women and talk to them and get their correlating responses. I think that it is really important we spend another couple of minutes here with this, because I think that it's incredibly important that y'all understand, even those of you that are only engaging on the lowest rungs of the abuse pyramid, need to understand how easily you can manufacture consent for yourself to do worse harm. I am upset by this because I am a survivor. And so my face may show my upset, my anger. I need you to look past that. I need you to look past that to how it can hurt you. The only way that you're honestly going to want to unpack this and like not be that way, if you see some of these behaviors in yourself, is if you find the way it's going to hurt you too. Because abusers are selfish, self-centered weenies. Weenie, you're a weenie. I said what I said. Deal with it. Deal with it. I said what I said, weenie. If you feel stung, lace that shoe up. You're gonna fall.
You say that, and I start to think about class, and I start to think about, a really well-educated man, at least would be able to cover for that attitude based on the cloak that education and polite society has provided him. But what did you find? I mean, I know that they come in all shapes, sizes, colors, and whatnot, but
this is a lot of why the better educated, more upper class abuser gets away with even more, is because he covers it better. He very often uses lower levels of physical violence. He uses violence. That's really what defines him as a batterer, but he's using lower levels of physical violence because he's got so many other tactics and weapons at his disposal, from his financial power and from his social connections. He has a lot of ways to really frighten her that don't have to involve putting his hands on her. But then that means he's much less likely to be defined as a batterer, even though I would look at that history and say, well, that's clearly a batterer. He's putting her in physical fear all the time. He may not be doing it with his own body, but he's always threatening her with physical harm. So the ability to cover things up is increases as you go up the socioeconomic ladder.
right. And one of the things I was interested in when I was reading your book was like, and I was going to ask you to do this, which is like to define abuse and to define batterer. And let me just put one thing in here that I was struck by that I read. Physical intimidation can take subtle forms that can carry an implication of threat. And if there is an implication of physical threat, that person who's doing the physical threatening becomes essentially a batterer. Is that correct?
That's my definition. And I think that view is fairly widespread in the field. I can't say that's how everybody looks at it, but I would say that view is fairly widespread. So my definition of a batterer, and I just deal with men who abuse women. We can talk some about same-sex battering, but to be in my area of expertise, I have to talk primarily about men who abuse women. To me, he has become a batterer at the moment at which he is deliberately taking steps to put her in physical fear. He doesn't have to ever touch her. If he raises a fist, well, he's trying to put her in physical fear. If he says, I'm digging a grave for you in the backyard, that's putting her in physical fear. If he says, well, I'm going to call immigration on you and they're going to drag you back to Guatemala where you're from because she doesn't have documents, he's putting her in physical fear. Those are battering acts. As soon as you're trying to let her know something's going to happen to her body.
And can you differentiate between psychological, verbal, physical is evident, right? But can you differentiate between those? And
one thing I have to clarify is that I put certain things in the physical abuse category that other people would put in the verbal or psychological abuse category because they involve deliberately making her think that she's going to physically get harmed. So if I say I'm going to kill you, that to me is physical violence. That's not verbal. It is also verbally abusive, but I wouldn't put it in the verbal abuse category because I'm deliberately using it to put you in physical fear.
So if something like blocking a door, refusing
abuse,
to leave.
Physical abuse. Pinning. Which is a very common thing that abusers use. They'll what do they call it? Restraining, which I don't like that word because it's pinning.
Right.
You're talking about pinning the person. Those are violent acts.
Yeah.
And we live in the United States, we live in an extremely violent society. So people don't even think of something as violence until it becomes so violent. And I'm not talking about what people call verbal violence. I don't even like that term, honestly. That would be a whole other discussion. I'm talking about clear, physical, using harming the person through their physical body. Pinning them is an assault and battery. It's very oppressive. Locking someone in a room, blocking a doorway. Those are which is effectively imprisoning.
Yes.
Like we these things get called a lot of things that they're not. But you're imprisoning the person or you're pinning them. That's assault and battery. You're taking power of. You're taking their rights away from them. And so that any verbal behavior that's designed to cause physical fear, and that means also all kinds of physical behavior that doesn't get defined as violence. Punching a wall. It's like, well, the whole point of punching a wall is to get the message across. It could be you the next time. When I think about verbal abuse, I'm thinking about behaviors that are made where you're saying things that are deliberately simply to hurt the other person's feelings. That's the goal. You're stupid. You're fat.
That's the expert telling you. And he even says that some verbal acts are acts of battery and abuse. Anything that leads the woman to fear for her safety, financial and physical, is battery. Any negging that you tell somebody negative things to put them in their place or punish them is battery. Y'all don't seem to understand how much abuse you've already excused in your own minds. And I really think that y'all should spend some time with the rape culture pyramid and looking at it and exploring it, especially for what lives on that very bottom row, and moving up so that you understand where your biases live and what kinds of things you've already been had manufactured consent to excuse. Now, just because you have this consent manufactured within you doesn't mean you can't remove it. You can remove consent anytime you want. This is the way society has conformed you. They've taught you to manufacture within yourself the okay for these behaviors. And when you can okay, boys will be boys, you are okay with sending somebody a dick pic that didn't ask for it. And if you are okay with sending somebody a dick pic that didn't ask for it, you are okay with statutory rape or doxing or groping. You'll just walk right up to somebody and grab her on her ass or something in public. If you will send a dick pic, you see no problem with that. And then if you have no problem with going and grabbing somebody by the ass that you don't know, that you don't have consent to touch, you will rape. And you may have already engaged in something non-consensual. And you may not have realized it. And I can't imagine that. I can only imagine being the survivor and having people tell me that it was my fault in a myriad of ways, when it was the fault of the person that did the act, because the society isn't good at consent. And I'm not telling you that because you did this that you should immediately go start a self-hate cycle. The self-hate cycle is what made you do it. I need you to start healing cycle. I need you to start introspecting. I need you to heal that wound, because if you have failed to notice consent and you have raped one person, you will rape another one and another one. Because if you are ignoring consent, you have already excused the act, and you will continue to ignore consent. And then you will double down and you will get defensive whenever you hear somebody talk about it, and you too will start blaming the victims and shaming the victims to protect yourself in your own mental image, because you refuse to go to the mental mirror and comb your fucking hair. You get happy in the same pants you got mad in. I have to get happy in the same pants I got mad in all the fucking time, because y'all refuse to stop these behaviors. You really hate it when we call them out. You really, really hate talking about them, but you really, really love doing them. So don't sit there and act stung. If you feel stung, lace them shoes up and walk yourself to correct, because I do not want to have to clean up the blood off the floor from you tripping and hitting yourself in the face. Thank you very much. Let's see what else we have in the menagerie mystery bag of misogyny that you men call normal.
So the patriarchy is like a man having his boot on a woman's neck. Feminism is women asking that the boot be removed. Men's rights activists think that having to take their boot off a woman's neck is some sort of reverse oppression. Conservatives figure that there was never a problem with the boot being on the neck until the woman started complaining about it, and if everybody would just shut the fuck up, things would be fine. Good guys take any complaint about the boot as a personal attack because not all men wear boots. Male allies try to discuss the issue in a way without alienating the boot. Women with internalized misogyny don't know why these other women are complaining about the boot on their neck. They love having the boot on their neck, and there's something wrong with the women who complain. Meanwhile, the boot stays on the fucking neck. So the patriarchy is like a man having his boot on a woman's neck.
Fuck, that's accurate. Hot damn. Hot damn. I know fucking knows. Damn. Thank you for that. No notes. I don't even. All of that. And A man told you. You believe it now, right? Because a man told you. You know it's true. Because a man told you you suck. You see? Even the men know. Because no one hates a man like a man. I said what I said. I said what I said. And if you feel stung, like I said, please lace them shoes up or boots. Or boots. And walk yourself to correct, my dear. Because the blood on the floor is messy. And nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see you fall on your face and bleed all over the place. It's icky. It's icky. Stop it. Lace those shoes up. Walk yourself on over to correct. You got this. I believe in you. Y'all know that these behaviors damage you as well. I know that you know it because you bitch about the harms that you face being men. You whine and whine and whine and whine and whine about how bad it is for y'all. And then you run around acting all tough and ridiculous because you're upset. Y'all really got to get it together and just figure out ways to go to the mirror and do an introspection loop. You deserve to treat you better. And we definitely deserve to be treated better by you. Just because you're used to it being this way and it's always been this way and your dad was this way and grandpa was that way, well, Uncle Jim doesn't mean it's right. It used to be legal to hit your wife with anything that was smaller than your thumb. It wasn't right. It was just legal. Just like the habits and these things, they aren't right. They're just normalized. They aren't helpful. They're just how weak ass weenie men make themselves assuaged of all of their emotions. Because the emotions, they're hard and they're scary. And they don't want to feel those scary emotions. It might hurt their feelings. And that's the thing they're scared of the most. Is the fact that they have feelies. And those feelies get hurted. I know. It's so hard to have feelies that get hurted. It really is. I feels for you. I feel so bad for you not knowing how to deal with those hurty feelies and how big they get. I'm going to tell you, what you really need to do with them is feel them. Finish your stress cycle. If your body says, I need to cry, cry. If your body says, I need to scream in a pillow, scream in a pillow. Finish the stress cycle. Feel the feeling fully, and it will fuck off on its own. And then you won't have to live with it. But if you keep stuffing it down and you keep refusing to give it its time and place, it's going to keep coming back. And usually it's going to come back in a really gross, toxic behavior that makes you hate you more. And then you're going to keep up that cycle of beating on yourself and then lashing out with that bat and hitting the people around you. And that's just going to lead you to misery and loneliness. Because the male loneliness epidemic is self-caused. And if y'all keep acting the way you acting, you're going to get a whole lot lonelier. In fact, you're probably going to instinctify all of maleness because even our bodies are like, nope, that chromosome sucks. And that's on y'all. That's on y'all. Y'all got to start setting a better example and y'all got to start doing the healing because the only way this species survives is collaboration. And that is not your realm right now, but you need to learn to live in it. You really need to learn to live in it. And I want that for you because that is where superpowers happen. Teamwork makes the dream work, baby. Start making some dreams work. Stop crashing everybody else's freaking sand castles just because it's fun for you. When you're hurting people, nobody likes you. Just because people do what you say does not mean they respect you. It means they really want you to go away, and they'll do what they need to do to make that happen faster. I know it sucks. The society has created a system that sucks for all of us. And because y'all are the ones that it benefits the most, y'all are the ones that perpetuate it the most. And so y'all are the ones that it falls on to stop the perpetuation. So please make comments in my comments and try practicing accountability. I do try to answer them, and the ones that are good comments, I really try to highlight and give love to, and validate people. And if there's a pain or something that you're facing or something you need to take accountability for, I will hear you, and I will try to make it safe for you to say you were wrong. Now, if you come into my comments being a shit ass, I'm going to match your energy, because energy matching is a natural consequence you can learn from. So comment wisely. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave that there. Comment with using critical thinking, because otherwise I might read you for filth, and I'm not sure. Some of you are pretty fragile. I don't know how many of you can handle it. So, you use intelligence when you comment, because I'm gonna match your energy. Okay. So long as we're all on the same page there. I have one more very, very important one to show y'all. Here we go.
Hey, Megan Kelly. I'm Eloise and I'm 14 years old. I wasn't even going to say anything because the topic is an adult one. My mom even made a video about it yesterday because we didn't feel it was an appropriate topic for a child to speak about. But after hearing you go on camera and explain that Epstein wasn't into 8-year-olds, just the barely legal type like 15, I realized you might need an actual reality check from a literal child. So let me help you out. Megan, people in my grade are turning 15 right now. Some of us still have baby faces. Some of us still have braces. Some of us still call our parents when we're scared at night. Some of us still look like middle schoolers because we basically are. And the fact that a grown woman needs a teenager to explain that is honestly terrifying. Here's the part you seem confused about. Under federal law, anyone under 18 is a child. No asterisk. No, but they hit puberty. No, older kids don't count. Anyone under 18 is a child. You said you were just giving facts, but here's the real fact. What you said wasn't factual. It was minimizing. It was making abuse sound like a technicality. And Megan, here's the part you really need to hear. If a 14-year-old has to get on the internet and explain to a grown adult with national platform that children are children and there's no age where abuse suddenly becomes less bad, then the problem isn't confusion, it's corruption. Because kids my age aren't supposed to be the ones correcting you. We're not supposed to be the moral compass in a room full of adults who should have known better. But here we are. If my voice makes you uncomfortable, good, it should. Because the minute adults start defending predators by debating the age of a child, you're not protecting the truth. You're protecting the predator. And you shouldn't need a freshman to tell you that.
No notes. None whatsoever. No asterisk. That's a child. Any of you sick freaks out here advocating for it and saying they're barely legal. No. Underage woman is not a thing. That's a child. Any of you out here spreading that rhetoric saying that bullshit is a P3D0. Heavy on the zero. Because y'all suck, you're weenies, you're cowards, and you're stinking disgusting. And any of you out here that feel triggered by that, lace those shoes up and walk the hell out of my chat. This is not a safe place for you. Anyway, for the rest of you that are not finding yourselves exiting stage fucking left, y'all survived to the end of the video. And it's time to celebrate you in the most absurd way imaginable. Woohoo! You made it. You made it through. You made it through all my snark and all my sass and all my sarcasm. And I love you for it. I thank you for it. And also, I like to eat food. Food is so good. It has textures. And there's tastes and there's smells. And my doggies like it too. They really love food. And like everybody in this house loves food. It's so good. So if you want to help us with food and eating more good food, you can add monies to my Ko-fi and I will buy food and I will bask in the smells and the tastes and the textures. It'll be wonderful. I love it. Thank you for anybody that does that. Now, there's also a thing. Y'all got to do that thing you do. I know you get tired of hearing me say it. But you got to do the thing you do. It's important that you start treating you better and that you talk to you in a good way, because you are the only you that has been with you from the moment that you joined the world of having consciousness and experience until the day that you're going to leave that. And you are the person that is going to be with you all of that time, every minute of it. And you're the only one that will be there for every minute of it. So you've got to learn to treat you better. So every time you say a bad thing about you, you have to say two good things. And no, you do not get to recycle the same two good things all the time. I know there are some of you out there recycling the same two good things. No. In this 24-hour period, you do not get to repeat the same two things. Every 24-hour period, you have to come up with new things. You don't get to repeat. Nope. Nope, we've been doing this long enough. There's no repeating. You gotta say two good things. And if that means you gotta think for a minute about what those good things are, you gotta think, because you deserve to be good to you. All right, y'all. I love y'all. I'll see you next week. And some of you I'll see in Purple Team. Purple Team, stick around. We'll make fun of Red Team. It'll be fun. All right, y'all. I'll see you later. Leave comments, say things. It's gonna be delightful hanging out with y'all. As always, it has been delightful, and I appreciate you being here. See you later. Later.